Howdy friends. In this video we're going to be working on our hip function. And we're going to be exploring the connection between our knees, our hips, and our back, our spine. Now when we move one part of our body, it affects all the other parts. In a very real sense. Think about the game Jenga. If you move one piece, another piece that's very far away, it might not move itself, but the distribution of weight from all the pieces around it changes. So the way that piece functions in the context of the whole changes. So when you move one body part, it affects all the other ones. And building out those connections is going to help you move better and release a lot of the pain and tension that you have and improve your posture, make you look better. Now, that being said, some body parts affect other body parts more than others. So your hip is connected to your knee by your leg, and your hip connects to your spine very directly. So the hip influences the knee and the spine, and they influence each other a lot, more than your pinky. So when your hips aren't functioning properly, a lot of times people have pain in the knees or the backs, because if the hip isn't doing its job, then the back and the knee compensate for it. So we're going to be working on that hip function and the connection between the knees, the hips, and the spine to get it working properly again. Alright, so we're going to start laying on our side, one knee on top of the others, and we want to keep our pelvis in a neutral position, so we don't want our back arched, we don't want it rounded, we want it in a neutral position. And basically a 90-degree angle at the hip and a 90-degree angle at the knee. You don't have to be exact here, just approximate. And then just tune into the sensation, so you feel one knee on top of the other, feel the weight of the leg on the ground, feel the side of your pelvis going in the ground, might feel your ribs, feel the back, feel where the hip is. Okay. And now what we're going to do is extend the knee out and then flex it back, pull it back. So calf out, calf in, and you don't have to, be a superhero here and try to get a stretch here. We're not trying to stretch. What we're going to do is just move the knee lightly. So just take your calf in and out. And when we're flexing and extending the knee like this, we don't want to move the hip or the back. We want to keep the hip and back still and just have the movement at the knee. So do it slow and pay attention to make sure that it's only the knee that's doing the movement. We want to isolate that movement. And now we'll start to work the hip into it. So we're going to bend the knee and bend the hip like so. And then when we extend the knee, we're going to extend the hip. Bend the knee, bend the hip. Extend the knee, extend the hip. And again, we don't want to use our back here. Just our knee and our hip. Now we can start to work the back in, so arch our back while we do it. So we kind of have this general flexion, general extension, general flexion, general extension. Now let's just go back to the knee and the hip, and then we'll kind of do a circular motion with it. So like we're riding a bike. Not using the back, keeping the back still for a little bit, and then we'll start to use the back and see how that affects things. Okay. Now let's go the opposite way. So when we bend the knee, we're gonna pull the hip back like that. And then when we extend the knee, we're gonna flex the hip. Not using the back. Now we can use the back. See which way. Okay, now let's do it in a circular motion. So it would be the opposite. Go the opposite way. Like going backwards on a bike. Alright. Feel that connection between the hip, the knee, and the back. Now let's go to the other side. So, just start. Just the knee. Pay attention. Is the hip doing much? Let's let the hip rest. Now let's work the hip into it. So when we bend the knee, bend the hip, extend the knee, extend the hip. Keeping the back soft, not working the back. We got this reverse biking going on. Now we can see how the back affects it. Now we can go the opposite way without the back. So a regular bike motion. And then work the back into it. Now just that. Switch it. Alright. So that's probably a little tiring. So we can take a rest here. Feel how that hip feels, how the leg feels, how your back feels. Maybe it release some tension in your lower back and your hips. And now if you want, just walk around a little bit, see if, you can play with that connection. Bend the hip, kind of do one of these type things. And you can feel when you move that knee, how the hip and the back, and when you move your hip, how the back and the knee work into that. So play around with that, walk around, see how it feels, and remember, it's all connected.